let's start at the top and let's bring in our good friend of the show, who I guess gets to say he won the rematch debate, Mr. Teddy Moore, our Michigan super fan, joining the show to
Yeah.
help us break down the
Let's go.
story of the day. And that was the Michigan Wolverines three-peating in the game for the first time since 1995 through 1997, defeating the arch rival Ohio State Buckeyes 30-24. Teddy, congratulations, my friend. Great victory from your team today. You can see the stats up there on the screen. The score kind of doesn't reflect how this game felt, because it felt a lot more like a defensive slugfest for most of this game. You know, Big Ten weather, two elite defenses duking it out. You can see that in the total yardages. The third downs were conversions were very hard to come by for both teams. But, you know, I think I came away from this game thinking these are two of the toughest teams in the country. But Michigan, once again, just kind of outlasted the Buckeyes, out-toughed the Buckeyes when it mattered the most. They got the yards they needed when it mattered the most, and they kept Ohio State from getting those inches that they needed the most down the stretch.
I mean, you said it best, Trey. Like, it was the score does not say and tell the full story of what I went through for 3.5 hours today watching this game. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better Saturday, first of all, in the great state of Michigan. It's just, I woke up this morning and I was like, man, it's going to be, I just had a feeling that like this game is not going to be what it has been the past 2 years. And as I was just anticipating it and waiting, which felt like hours of waiting for this game to start. But then when it finally kicked off, like, I think Michigan went 3-and-out. Ohio State went 3-and-out, and I was like, "Yep, it's gonna be one of those games. It's not gonna be a lot of offense. I mean, the stats tell you the full story essentially, but I think the most important thing was when you look at the fourth downs. Sharon wasn't afraid to go for it, no matter when he was on our side of the 50, he wasn't scared. Like, he knew what this game is and what it meant, and he was not afraid. And I don't know. There's a couple of times Ryan did. He just looked a little timid to me. I don't know if he was just. I don't know what it was, but you could just see it in his eyes and something with the play calling. He was just very timid. And I mean, I got to give it out, Joe. Your team played good. I definitely thought on that last drive, they were just getting these chunk plays. I'm like, all right, cool. So this is it. I talked all my smack and I'm going to lose. So cool. But faithful. My defense came through, forced interception, and that's all she wrote. And it was a great Saturday, a great game. I don't know. Like, it's still like I'm still reliving it to this, like watching Rod Moore pick off Kyle McCord. And I was like, you couldn't ask for a better ending. You really couldn't. And, hats off to my team. And isn't it great, Garrett, to be a Michigan Wolverine? I mean, let's sing it.
Oh, yeah,
come on,
baby. Come on.
Say it with me. It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine.
Great to be a Michigan Wolverine. I love it, man. I love it, baby. It's great.
Garrett is clinging to whatever identity he can to cope with the reality of our alma mater. But I'll just read Joe's statement really quickly, and we can talk a little bit more about this game. He says, Teddy, congrats on your third straight win. This one stings a bit, but I'm glad we didn't get bullied like the last 2 years. With McCord at the helm, I know how it felt with the last 5 Michigan quarterbacks. So a little bit of a backhanded compliment there. Enjoy your fun while it lasts, because Georgia's coming, and so is the dreaded offseason. See you in 365 days for round 3. Few backhanded compliments from some salty Buckeye Nation members there. But listen, I think he makes a great point about Kyle McCord at quarterback, because, it just seemed that when Michigan needed a big play, J.J. McCarthy stepped up. He threaded the needle to find a receiver. He, made plays with his legs. Kyle McCord, it seemed like if his first read wasn't there, the Buckeyes offense was in trouble. You saw that with the interception that set Michigan up for their first touchdown. You saw that throughout the game when he's forcing balls into places that he absolutely shouldn't. And I think that's kind of characteristic of him as a quarterback. We were kind of having that debate before we hit record, guys. Like, he could absolutely develop into something better next year. Ryan Day could have his quarterback of the future in Kyle McCord, but where he is right now is not good enough to lead Ohio State to a national championship. And I think that was on display today against the best defense he's faced this year. And it really, anytime Michigan needed a big play, they stepped up. I think, the defining play of this game, Zach Zinner, the All American guard, probable, possible future first round draft pick, goes down with a horrific knee injury, so horrific that Gus Johnson made sure we knew that they were not going to show it on the
I don't know if you
broadcast.
saw it, Trey. It broken fibula and tibia.
It's just disgusting.
Just
And
horrible.
feel awful for the kid. But the first play after that long layoff is a long Blake Corum touchdown run. So just immediately gets the energy back up in the stadium. I thought that was a huge, huge moment for Michigan. And, other than not being able to finish drives in the second half, they really put this one away, right? The not finishing the drive, settling for field goals, that's what kind of kept Ohio State in this game and gave them a chance at the end. They pick off Kyle McCord one more time as they hit him as he throws. And that's all she wrote. Michigan's going to their third straight Big Ten championship game, looking likely to go to their third straight college football playoff semifinal, and we'll see what happens from there. But guys, taking a step back, we can talk a little bit more about this game if you want, but as we look forward for Michigan, what are their chances in a college football playoff? I'm going to assume that they get by Iowa because, I think, Iowa's offense probably
they
can't
can
keep
score
up.
10 points.
If they can score more than 13, I'll feel good about their chances against Iowa. I feel pretty good about that. But, looking past that, what are their chances in a college football playoff scenario this year? Do you guys give them a better chance than last year, the last couple of years where they've kind of struggled once they got there?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, for me, when I look at this team, I think that this team still hasn't even really reached its peak. They've been playing really good football, and I think the style of football, I've said it multiple times on the pod, the style of football is just to wear you down, right? It's not that they're going to come out the gates flashy. They're not the team that's going to come out and put you down 21-0 in the first quarter. That's just not what Michigan is. But they are designed to wear you down through the game, and they're designed to just kind of wear you down and keep leaning on you and keep pushing on you. And they score that touchdown and they get that pick and they convert the field position, and that's what they do. I still feel like there's so much more that I could be seeing if they could get over that hump of just, let's be a little more explosive on the front end. Let's get warmed up just a little bit quicker. So, for me, I think the sky's the limit for Michigan because they can do that, right? It's possible to do that. They're going to have to show me a little bit more. But especially when I look around this field, I think this field is as vulnerable as it's been in a while, right? I don't think that, we saw it tonight. Georgia's not invincible. They took Georgia Tech to the wire. Georgia's a great team. Georgia's won, what is it, like 29-30 or something like that. They've Georgia's crazy. But at the same time, they're not as good as they have been. They are vulnerable. And if they play a really solid defense, they could get behind. We've seen the slow starts, and that's that. Same goes for all the different teams in discussion. Florida State lost their quarterback, so if they get in because they went out, that's a tough situation. They didn't look that good against Florida tonight. Texas, they looked really, really good, but we've seen them play teams that they shouldn't very close this year. And there's, you can go up and down the list. Washington hasn't looked super convincing. I think Oregon's about the only other team that's playing excellent football at this moment. But I just think when I look across the landscape, I think Michigan, if they're not going to do it this year, I don't know when it's going to happen. You got two stud running backs. You got a great quarterback who's really learning to find what he can do best, and even play through not 100% conditions for him, and when he's not playing fully healthy, able to figure out kind of how to keep his team in it. I think that Michigan can go all the way. My biggest issue with the entire situation is I still don't think I've watched Michigan play their best football. If they can find that, great. They're going to be hard to stop. I just don't think that they've played their best football. They'll get a tune-up against Iowa, but outside of that, I think they're going to have a long month of really important preparation before they hit that first semifinal game.
Gary, you said it all right there, but I would make the argument that today kind of was their best game. I think what we saw today was
sure, yeah.
not their peak. By no means are they peaking, right? But I think when you have a tough defense you're going against. You have not necessarily a hostile atmosphere, but the crowd's into it. I mean, that last drive, once Ryan Day started calling those timeouts, is when that momentum really stalled for us. I mean, we were going down, getting first down after first down, and my sweet mom, they're like, why are they just doing all these little short little run plays or short little pass? My mom, they know what they're doing. They're running down the clock. This is what they want to do. When you have it was essentially almost a 6-minute drive, like 5 or 6 minute drive, and I was feeling really good. And then of course we had to settle for 3. But I mean, Georgia really doesn't scare me. Washington is very wishy-washy. Same with, now with Florida State. Who knows with Florida State? I mean, but one other injury that you didn't talk about was our stud, should be All-American corner, Will Johnson. He played very little this second half, and that makes me a little nervous when we have to play a team like Oregon who can just drop dimes like Kyle McCord did today. Like, if he's out, that makes me nervous. I mean, I'm not really worried about our offensive line because they've been able to move pieces around left and right, and they have, Trevor Keegan can play anywhere on that offensive line. Carson Barnhart can play anywhere on that offensive line. I mean, you really wouldn't know Zach got hurt if you had known, right? I mean, his backup came in and basically just stepped right up. It's like, all right, cool. I'm gonna join my boys, and we're gonna keep mowing these down to get first down to first down. So, Zach's injury really doesn't scare me. I mean, and I hate to see it. Like if you watch the post game interviews, Blake said, he's one of the guys that came back who he could have went off the NFL and made his millions, but he's like, you know what, I want to come back. So I feel that, but I think it's the best is yet to come. I truly think that it's coming. It's gonna be a tune-up next week, but I truly think the playoffs will be a lot different this year for Michigan than it has the past 2 years.
Well, Teddy, thanks so much for joining us, man. Enjoy this big victory and go get ready for Iowa.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you as always, and great to be a Michigan Wolverine.
Always great. Come on, baby. Let's go.
Gracious him. How about